एक बार डिसीजन लेता हूँ खुद का ही नहीं सुनता हूँ. I have never worn a shoe or chappal. I have not worn a full trouser till I finished 11th standard. Fortunately, I was poor. My parents were poor. My mother had 5 children and no income. And I know why the rich become poor. I know why poor become rich. Why somebody becomes complacent and don't become some more rich. All because पेट भर जाता है तो नींद आ ही जाता है. Cost of the marriage has nothing to do with the outcome of the marriage. Costlier marriages break faster.
Velumani sir, thank you so much for taking out the time and coming here for the podcast.
It's pleasure. It is thrill and excitement to meet the old meeting the young.
We'll be talking about a lot of different things today in this podcast. So guys, make sure that you watch till the end. Sir, I want to first of all ask you about the white shirt that you keep wearing all the time. We're just talking about that. Why did you choose to wear white all the time? What is the psychology behind that?
Wardrobe management is simple. Anything in life made simple, you can enjoy it. If you complicate it, you can't enjoy it. Mm-hmm. In my youth, there were only 2 kinds of people. One was wearing good dress, another who was not having dress. So when I started comfort of having dress, I didn't worry about what color it is. But I felt white is a good color to wear, and at an age of 40, I decided I will wear only black and white. Till I exited my company, I never worn anything other than black and white. Somehow I liked it and I continued that.
I too have been just doing that recently after getting motivated from you and other people as well. Okay. So sir, tell me about your journey of starting Thyrocare. How did you get the idea? How did you decide that you want to pursue this? And how did you have the conviction of going all in with Thyrocare?
No, actually, like how we sometimes see a book called as Accidental Prime Minister. My story can be told as an accidental entrepreneur. Not even in my dreams I ever felt one day I will own a huge company, listed company, a company which is $1 billion market cap. These and all happened. Mm-hmm. I came to Mumbai only for पेट भरने के लिए, to find food for the family. But then I had a good, enjoyable, growing career. And then at some point of time, I felt comfort zones are danger zones. Let me take some risks. And I resigned my government job without knowing that this business will get me this big glory. But having said that, the reason for starting business could have been vague, but the reason for starting Thyrocare was very clear. I had an MSc, PhD, both in thyroid, and once you have a PhD in a subject, then you know that subject much better than any other subject, and I finally focused on that. I think I have started using the word focused. This word I love a lot. I want every entrepreneur, even every employee, to keep in their mind that focus gives success. I focused so much on thyroid, it sounds like Android to my competitors. I focused so much on thyroid, I was the first man in the entire world to have built a brand around a gland. So that's thyroid. Today, people can't differentiate the word thyroid and Thyrocare. To that extent, I had focused and made a brand and made a powerful brand. So the journey was not something which I planned. I think life is not what we plan. Life is what it happens to us. And it happened to me.
What was your childhood like, and like what lessons did you learn from that time that even helps you till this date?
I think my childhood was the most enriching in terms of experience and knowledge. Not enriching in terms of vocabulary and English. From a small village, fortunately I'm from a village, fortunately I was poor, my parents were poor. Why I use this word fortunately is I think once you are poor and once you are born in a village, you are exposed to the maximum challenge at the earliest phase of life. Which means you can't expect others to solve your problem when you are poor and village. You have to solve your problem. So I started handling problems. Being the eldest in the family, I handled not my problems, I handled even the family problems. My father was neither an employee nor an employer, which means he was not making money. And my mother had 5 children and no income. So that made me to look at life as, you are the leader, born leader, because you're the eldest in the family and then there is no one else in the family to take care of family. So that made me very powerful in solving problems. I think if you know to solve problems, no problem is a big problem. That is how I can define my childhood has given me enormous strength to enormous endurance. People today use a word called as resilience. I didn't know the word, but I think I was master there. And then 5 children, no income, all these things. And then I think my first mentor in life was my mother. She reared 2 buffaloes, 10 liters milk a day, 1 rupee a liter, 70 rupees a weekly revenue. And she made sure that the family is brought up. Not only that, all her children were Madras University graduates and Mumbai University postgraduates. I think that's the power of the lady, guts, grits. And today people ask me often a question, how did you manage to create a company without debt, without any investor money inside the company? Where did you learn this prudence of financial management? I tell them I learned it from my mother, because she had literally nothing. She made a great life out of it. I keep telling people, success is not how much money you make. Success is how little do you spend. I think that was my first power of managing with very little resources. That gives rise to one punchline. If you have mastered a life in no resources, managing life with low resources is never a problem. So it was literally no resources life in my childhood until I finished my BSc. To give an example of what was that, I have never worn a shoe or chappal before I finished 11th standard. I have not worn a full trouser till I finished 11th standard. So this is the background. There was no atlas, there was no dictionary, there was no Horlicks, Bonvita, Complan, Orange, Apple, Parent-Teacher Association, school bus, Baiju, nothing was there. I am extremely happy to tell that I was never in my life coached. I was my coach. So this is very, very important. Children who were able to solve problems on their own and never get intimidated by any problem that comes up.
So tell me more about this. You coached yourself, right? Many people who are watching this video are waiting for a mentor, waiting for a teacher to help them guide through their path. How can they get away from this mindset and get into the one that you had of, just using yourself, teaching yourself everything yourself?
I think human brain is very powerful, unless otherwise you underestimate it. I didn't have money to have even tuition classes. In my school, around 20% of the colleagues were going for tuition classes. I didn't have money. I used to read, I won't understand. I used to read again, and if I finish reading 5th time, I have understood. I don't know how did I develop that, but I understood it. And in fact, I have a unique distinction of in the class. My science teacher used to ask questions in the classroom. Before she asks the question, she will tell, Velumani, you should not answer. That means I am prepared for her next day than reading the previous day. I don't know from where I got this strength, but I think this is known as You make yourself a person. I made myself a person independent, capable of learning on my own. I think today the coaching starts at LKG, UKG. Mothers are crazy about displaying the marks in the social media, even for junior KGs. I think that puts the fellow has no time to think, and the fellow is not given time to think. He is forced too many things on learning faster, and then he get used to it. In fact, don't feel bad if I tell you an analogy. Once you have got, what's that in the hand people who can't walk carry? There is a
Crutch.
Once you have it, you can't get rid of it. Coaching is exactly that. Once you got it, you can't get rid of it. So fortunately, I could manage to do. In fact, in my 12th standard, without a textbook, I scored 200 out of 200 in mathematics. Didn't go for any tuitions, coaching, nothing. The library was my wonderful companion. So it may sound it is all those days, but then those days are these days. I think the poor man has no option. Rich man has many options. So I think my strength was understanding and solving problems. And I think today, if I am successful in running a business, let me tell you how did it help. A boy from a small village gets into National Stock Exchange with a 75 times over subscription in his IPO. A scientist become an entrepreneur. A mathematician disrupts the pathology industry, and a Madrasi does a national brand. Trust me, there is no coach. It's all because I had confidence, patience to work on solutions on my own. And I'm extremely happy I didn't have a mentor. So today's world, people are asking me, sir, I want you as my mentor. But then I don't want to mentor anyone, simply because once I start mentoring him, I become emotionally entangled with his project. His weakness will fail me. His small product or visionless product could fail me. He will go on tell everyone I am mentored by Dr. Velumani. And then I will be depressed. So I don't want to get on to. Yes, group mentoring I love to do. Some 20 people come and sit down, ask me questions relevant to HR, logistics, IT, branding, positioning, pricing. All I will tell. But I don't want to get into mentoring. I didn't have one, so I believe the one who can succeed even without a mentor. May take another 5 years, 10 years. That's why I tell, don't be in a hurry.
Sir, how do you spot new business ideas? Like for someone who's watching this video and is interested in business, how do they spot that this is the right business and the right time to go all in and build a huge business?
You use two words, right business and right time. There is nothing known as right time for business. You can plan. Environment keeps completely changing. Every 5 years, some changes, powerful changes come. What acted as the most likely successful domain will become totally eliminated in even 5, 7, 10 years period. So time is something, if you have started and it was the time, you are lucky. But it was late, that product is going to go away, that concept is going to go away, and you came late, you are not lucky. And you came thinking that this is the time and still the market is not ready to receive it, you are gone. Timing is not easy. Timing is nothing like going to a bus stand and you got the bus in time. You went 5 minutes late, the bus was 5 minutes late. What to do is the question. Now, I have a punchline. What do you do is not as important as how do you do. I don't think any of the needs of human is to be underestimated. I think business is nothing but solving the undermet and unmet needs of the society. I think you do something and take something and do it in such a way that nobody else can do it as the way in which you have done it. That's it. So, for some reasons, people think that, I should discuss with people and find out what the best can be done. Please don't discuss with people, they will misguide you. That is the one of the reason why I am not mentoring. Because not that I know everything. The universe is too huge for any mentor to tell I am the power. I think everybody should experiment, try to do something. Where do you start has nothing to do with where do you end. You keep awake, keep alert, keep changing, looking at the signals, receiving back from feedbacks from customers, vendors, peers, competitors, and you rework on it. So in short, you can do anything. Make sure that you do that thing in that way. No one else has so far done it.
Sir, Thyrocare grew rapidly in 15 years. How did you not get complacent when you see this growth happening? How did you realize that you can be even bigger, you can build the company even to a greater height? How did you not get that feeling कि चलो ठीक है कोई ना?
It is not a very fast growth. It पूरा बाल जाने के बाद ही मैं धनवान हुआ हूँ. 27 years and number one. Number two, it was growing year over year 25% CAGR. Not that suddenly it became 300% in 1 year. So it was nothing there to get complacent. Number one. Number two, complacency comes when you feel done enough. I could have been complacent when I was a class 1 gazetted officer with Government of India in Department of Atomic Energy. But then I'm a restless man. Number three, it's a very powerful punchline. Consumers cannot create. So creators should never become consumer. The day creator become consumer, that is known as complacent. So this is something which I fortunately didn't get through. And my family was very supportive. They also didn't force me to take it light. I think, आगे क्या है? What next? What next? This has been my questions. Every quarter I used to think, okay, what was last year's same quarter? We must do at least 25% high. So that I kept on doing it. पता नहीं है बुड्ढा में कभी हुआ.
Sir, what advice would you have for people who are watching this and they're in 10th, 11th, 12th and they're clueless about their career? Should they do startup? Should they become a YouTuber like me? Should they, continue with their job and work up the ladder in the corporate scene? What should they do exactly? How do they figure that out?
Do what you enjoy doing. Don't do what neighbor is enjoying. Every person is different. Every channel of success is different. I find very often it's a very social media driven dreams for many youth. Social media is misguiding. In social media, only top 1% and bottom 1% is covered. The top 1% is the most successful entrepreneur. The bottom one is the most stupid entrepreneurs. So they are only showing these two. Looking at the most successful entrepreneur, everybody gets unnecessarily. And looking at the other side, even intelligence and capable start fearing. If I lose everything like him, what will? I think वो मत करो जो पड़ोसी कर रहा है क्योंकि फिर अब वही होगा जो पड़ोसी हुआ है. This is my, don't copy the neighbor punchline. Having said that, ideal age to start a business is 30 plus. Now, again, all individuals don't have the same background. Some people have a situation where parents have taken loans to educate you. In some situation, there is no loans, but there is luxury of funding the child to do business. In some instances, father can borrow and fund. In some instances, father has huge bank balance. So all these four guys cannot do the same thing. So according to me, a guy who doesn't have money, a guy whose father is not rich, has to make money first. How do you make money? Work in the same field where you want to do in a small company for 5, 7, 10 years. And if that company becomes big, And if that company becomes big because of you, you have learned the business in somebody else's money. And 35 is not late to do. People have unnecessarily fear. In fact, that punchline I will tell you here. Don't try to become a billionaire before your father-in-law. Try to become one before you meet your son-in-law. Which means 30 is an ideal time to start a business. And if you have made money and if you have started the business, your family is safe. Never risk your family. You risk you. When I left my government job, I had a 2 lakh rupees closing balance in 1995, which is equivalent to 2 crores in today's money value. My monthly expenditure was 4,000 rupees. 2 lakh, 4,000 rupees expenditure means 50 months family is safe. I think this was the boldest decision I could take, only because 50 months family is. So I want youth not to search to hit the page 3 of Economic Times too early. I think you need to understand what is product, what is market, what is client, demand, supply, IT, logistics, HR, branding, pricing. There are enough number of aspects. You can't master everything too early. Even when I started 37, I didn't understand all the terms. But then I was matured enough not to fail in business. When you are not failing business, when there is no pressure of business, there is no pressure of investors, when there is no pressure of bank, you are learning fast. So never come under pressure by having a greed to do things too early and too fast.
Sir, how much of a factor of luck has played in your journey?
Let me give you a very honest answer here. If the questioner asks me, sir, is it not all hard work? No, gentlemen. There were so many people who have done much more hard work than I have done. So I am lucky. But if the questioner says, are you not lucky? Oh, you think by lucky you will sit sleeping on the bed, you will become rich? It's a lot of hard work. But having said that, it's a lot of hard work and I think a bit of luck. My luck is I was in a right time. And diagnostic industry was having pricing gaps, technology gaps, and people never thought this can become a national brand. Pathology was a local town business. So all these things I could, play it. It's almost like one day Rohit Sharma 0, the next day he hits 7 different records he creates one innings. It's a matter of time. Let's not call it as luck. It is time and timing. Time and timing.
How can someone get more lucky or, as you said, be at the right time?
I think many places have read being prepared when opportunity comes is called luck. Opportunity comes to everyone. And if you are not prepared, it has gone. And if you are never prepared, you are never lucky. So that's as simple as that.
So why did you decide to take the exit from the company? As it is a big company, the IPO happened and you decided to exit out of it. And what was that time for you?
See, actually I am a thrill monger. I think I analyze back my entire journey and I see where and all I went after thrill. I left Coimbatore not because in Coimbatore I could not live. But I thought going to Mumbai is thrill. Biggest city in the country. Let us see if there is better fun. I married a Bombay girl for thrill. Otherwise, a boy from village will not dare to marry.
How did you meet her?
I'll come to that story in the next one. Let's finish why did I exit. The third thing is I left the government job without discussing with my wife. That's the third thrill. I went for a private equity and took money from guys without a need for it. Again for a thrill. And I did an IPO without a purpose. Again a thrill. And I exited my business without discussing with my children. That's again for the thrill. So if you ask me, मैं तो सलमान खान हूँ. एक बार डिसीजन लेता हूँ, खुद का ही नहीं सुनता हूँ. So that is some kind of, in fact, I will tell you, if everybody thinks you have taken a wrong decision, that's the best decision. And if everybody thinks you have taken a good decision, that was a wrong decision. This is what I have experienced journey. So if you ask me the exact reason for exit, then I have to explain your question, where did I meet my right? She was the reason for my entry into. She was the reason for my exit from. And she was working with State Bank of India. Nariman Point, Madam Kama Road, International Division, 14th floor was she working. And her father was a BRC employee and I was a BRC employee. So my father-in-law was in love with me. So that's how the connection came. And then I didn't want to marry a Bombay girl initially, thinking that in Jamaica nahi. But then I think my father-in-law, mother-in-law were keen that I should marry their daughter. And reluctantly I married. I think marrying a girl with a bank job and me as a government of India job, families became economically very powerful, steady. And then because of a good institution, I got 2 more MSc and PhD were not there in life had I not joined in BRC. Then 2 children, 2 degrees, 2 promotions, too many increments, all gave rise to what is known as a comfort zone. And I think comfort zones are danger zones. That's what I said, I am a thrill monger. Comfort doesn't give you thrill. Thrill is different, comfort is different. So then I took a decision to resign the job even without discussing with my wife. Now here I want a punchline to be added. In life, either you can discuss or you can decide. You can't do both. If you discuss, you can never decide. And if you have decided, there is no need to discuss. So this is my way of doing things, and I have done again because there was no coach, there was no mentor, and I took decisions on my own. People ask, how do you take such a powerful decision even without discussing with people? As long as I am responsible for the outcome, whom I need to discuss with? If somebody else is responsible for my life, my support, my income, my comfort, and I have to ask. I think I was that way, totally free to take decisions I took. So my wife also resigned the job along with me because she felt that, this is power. Today only I had tweeted, if your spouse trusts you, your energy is 10x. And if your spouse doubts you, your energy becomes 0.1x. So my wife felt that she should, there was no word those days called co-founder. But she was the co-founder without that designation. So she was, very, let me honestly admit at this point of time, I lost my wife just 2 months before my IPO. And 2 months before I lost her, we came to know that she had a grade 4 pancreatic cancer and nothing could be done, and she went away. Now, she was the one who made me MSc, PhD. She was the one who made me scientist, entrepreneur, storyteller, taught me Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati. And Sati means, I don't think there is any better person can be called a true Sati. But then having said that, I lost her just in the happiest moment of my life, that was getting company listed. Once I lost her, I lost interest in running them. So you asked, why did you exit? Had my wife been there, I would have not exited. So exit was because I lost my wife, number 1. Number 2, I made enough money. There is an end for greed.
How do you know it is enough?
Look, one day I sat and calculated with my children. And my children told me, Dad, now if you sell this company, you get 5,000 crore. Put that money into blue chip companies investment. You will get dividend. Put that money into fixed deposit. That will give interest. Take that interest, you can never exhaust it. Understand what I'm talking? So the punchline is, success is not how much money you make. Success is how little you spend. So I haven't developed that, you can call it as Malaya flamboyance. I lived on my own.
What is that?
Malaya flamboyance is, show off. Show off. Everything, you buy huge villas, huge cars, private jets, you are gone, right? So coming back to I didn't have a greed to chase. Listen to me carefully. With 500 rupees, I came to Mumbai 40 years back. I'm getting a single check of 5,000 crore. 8 zeros added. और क्या चाहिए? That's number one. Number two, first 20 years, 30 years of my life, I had all the time but no money. Second 30 years, I had all the money, no time. जिंदगी जीने का भी है. So I thought I must take a pause and relax. The last but not least, the punchline comes. If you have not exited, you have not existed. So now I feel when I am not sitting on the lion and I am totally free, I feel that I have sit and see कहाँ था, कहाँ आया हूँ, कौन कौन मदद किया, किस किस मोड पर मैंने डिसीजन सही लिया. These kind of things makes you to feel that you are really relishing the journey. I didn't relish the journey when the journey was on, because Najar hati, Durgatna gati. So I was so focused on the business. I thought one day I will rest and relax, but you can't run the business and rest and relax. That was another reason why I thought I should move out. But no one forced me to exit. I voluntarily exited. In fact, there was a punchline which came in a WhatsApp message. Dr. Velumani, whenever such exits happens, boardrooms discuss. Your exit, bedrooms are discussing. Why this man did not give the company to his children? They are 30 plus. They have been working with him. They are biotechnology postgraduates. Company is zero debt company. Wonderful company. Why didn't he give the company to his children? But then my children didn't truly want to pursue what I did. If they said, if you want to do something, we will do on our own.
So you're talking about how you met your wife and how you knew she was the one. What mistake do you think the current my generation makes in relationships, which leads to the current scene, which is, people not marrying very later in their life and, finding it difficult to find the right one?
I wasn't as patient as my parents were. My father was never made money. My mother still lived with him for 75 years, in which 50 years their married life. For years they have not talked to each other, but then still they live together. People can call it as that is atrocious, why to undergo torture. They didn't undergo the torture as much as today's generation is undergoing. So in my opinion, I am in between. So my patience also made me very happy, very successful. Today my children are also still not married. And when I ask, they are scared of getting married. That means there is a fear of marriage, fear of losing freedom, fear of adjusting and living. And let me tell you, the punchline is, if you can't compromise, adjust and adapt, marriage is not a cup of tea for you. I think you also, always people expect my spouse should adjust with me. Both are thinking like that. How will adjustment ever happens? So today's generation, okay, let me ask you a question. Resignations and divorce, what is the main reason? Unwanted expectations. That's it. So, in fact, I have one more punchline to add. Cost of the marriage has nothing to do with the outcome of the marriage. Costlier marriages break faster. By the way, my marriage expenditure was 11,000 rupees. So that's how
makes sense.
we live.
Hence
happy.
the math. It all adds up. Sir, do you think luxury makes people dumb and unmotivated? Like, for example, you shared your journey. You came from a small town. You lived through a lot of struggle. You worked really hard. But someone who is coming in a very rich and environment which is full of availability, like everything is available to you. It's easy for you. Does that hamper what you can do and how big you can dream and build?
Let me start with the punchline. Empty intestines only run the economy. If GDP growth of India is today 6.5, whereas that of US is 3.8, India has more empty intestine than US, which also says poor only can become rich. Rich will only become poor. This is day becomes night, night becomes day. So this is inevitable. So what happens when poverty is driving? You can't sleep because sleep is comfort, poverty is struggle. So you can't. When poverty is no more, you can get up any time. You have enough money. That's the end of the journey. So I have seen, let me explain you, in a pyramid of economy of 10 slices, I was in the bottommost slice, and in 60 years I could come to the topmost slice. I know every slice. And I know why in the rich become poor. I know why poor become rich. Why somebody becomes complacent and don't become some more rich. All because पेट भर जाता है तो नींद आ ही जाता है. Of course, people might ask, you are a gadget officer, good salary, good position, wife was earning, आपको नींद क्यों नहीं आया? But then, there are some exceptional cases, they think that is still possible, and they chase. Everybody had it become, then the country, world would have not had a pyramid. It would have been a cylinder.
Awesome.
Good.
What do you mean by enjoying life, and what is happiness for you when you grow?
Yeah, many people ask me, Velumani, you got too much of money, what have you purchased? Have you,
Why don't you already
what
have
were your indulgence? I think let me start with the punchline. Don't burn salaries, burn calories. That's number one. Number two, please enjoy the nature, not the concrete. So this is another way of looking at it. I think in this last 2 years, I have gone to the Western Ghats, some 10 different locations, 10 different times. I've gone to Himalayas, from Dehradun to Nepal, 10 times in this last 2 years. That means my mind says, that's frugal, that's nature. I started enjoying that. For hours I can sit and see the valley. I can sit in a boat in a lake and spend even half a day in that. I think nature is something, punchline here. Nature can never be bought, and you don't have to buy it to own it. So I am a nature lover, number one. So in fact, I'll tell you, my expenditure has not grown in the last 30 years. What I was spending during my government days as an employee, today also I am only spending that much. So I am not a man who chases material. I don't have a craze for gold. I've still not bought a house. The house where I am now living is bought in my son's name to have a permanent address for my company's communication. Otherwise, where will you have an address? So that is one thing. Second thing, I'll tell you, it's a little more emotional regarding buying house. I didn't want to marry my wife because I expected Bombay girls will be putting pressure to buy house, and I didn't have money to buy house. So I told in the marriage, before marriage, one condition that I will be living lifelong paying guest. You should be ready to live with me. She willingly agreed. So we never bought a house. And I used to tell her in between, we have now money, can we buy a house? She one day told, look, I am eldest in my family, you are eldest in your family, our siblings are still not settled. If we buy house, they will feel bad. Let us buy once everybody buys. And then we were involved so much into business, we never thought of buying a house. I was living in the laboratory, top floor, 5,000 square feet, I had a luxury. So, ghar nahi karida.
Right.
Then finally she went away. Now we buy a house, who will be malkin of that house? So emotionally I am feeling bad that I didn't give her that fun. Not that she asked and I didn't give, we didn't really look for it. And having said that, I must tell you here, had I bought the house, I would have not been running the business. Why? Because I'll tell you what are the 3 reasons I left the government job. I had 2 lakh rupees closing balance with 5,000 rupees monthly expenditure, which means 40 months family is safe. Tick number 1. Tick number 2, right hand side, left hand side, colleagues already bought 3-bedroom hall kitchens. I was the only guy without EMI. Third reason is my wife is working with State Bank of India. Aur kya chahiye? Resigned. But the very vital reason is I didn't have an EMI. Having said that, the punchline. Heaven in life is clutter-free brain, fear-free heart, EMI-free life. In my entire life, personally, for the company, I have never borrowed.
Right.
And let me tell you here the success of the family. I am not an individual, I am successful, that is what the world sees. But it's a family success. My mother was extremely frugal. Otherwise, we would have not even become graduate. My wife was more frugal than my mother. She only spent her salary. My salary was in her account, but she didn't spend it. My daughter also is extremely frugal. 3 generations of frugality. It can make you a billionaire. 10 years being spendthrift can make you beggar.
So there is a stat which says that 7 out of 10 iPhones sold in India are on EMIs. There is EMI for everything around us, right? And the generation has become like a slave to all of those Chinese apps that sell instant loans and things like that. How can people stay away from that and from that trap, that bubble?
Let me honestly tell you, punchline, children or employees don't listen, they follow. They don't listen, they follow. So don't preach, practice. Now what are parents doing? Parents are with 10 EMIs. The children are with 25 EMIs. Copied.
Right.
My parents never had an EMI. I don't have an EMI. My children don't have an EMI. They can tell your children are billionaire or nothing. My mother was literally having nothing. So let me tell you, ये बुरी आदत है. Parents show off, children start showing off. So this is unfortunate, number 1. Number 2, before 1950, there was no word EMI. And before 1950, there was no stress. EMI came.
Right.
Stress came. Today, ask the new generation, you don't know how much stress we have. I know if you tell me how much EMI you have, I can tell you how much stress you have. So this is unfortunate. I think we must make people to understand what is frugality, and I will teach you what is frugality. If you spend because you enjoy, that is frugality. But if you spend to impress your neighbor, that's stupidity. Very often EMIs come because of stupidity. Unfortunately, people have, one more punchline. If you act poor, you will become billionaire. If you act rich, you will become a beggar. Acting rich is the biggest weakness today's generation has got. So we need to come out of it. It will all, once again, it will come back. People will go to extreme and then suicides, and then spirituality will come, and then consumption will come down. I think this all will happen. Having said that, the next generation need to be moderated, number 1. But having said that, are they enjoying? If yes, allow them to do. I think man is born to enjoy, and please don't act that you are enjoying. That's danger. You enjoy. So I have enjoyed my life, my 60 years of life. I don't think, in fact, people will very often ask me, Dr. Velumani, if you relive your life, what one thing you will change? I say nothing. Because इतना बढ़िया बिरयानी उसमें क्यों नाटक करके बैठा? Repeat. And with all that pains only, this entire journey has happened. You can't just remove all the pains and happen. Nothing. फूल और कांटे साथ में ही जिंदगी.
So 2 more questions I have.
Yes.
First is, how can people let go of the fear of failure, right? Like I have a lot of friends and they are thinking of dropping out of college or starting their business, starting to create content on YouTube, but they're afraid कि लोग क्या कहेंगे, या फिर they're afraid if I fail then what will happen, and they're afraid of this thing that people will look up to them and shame, basically, right? They're afraid of shame. What can they do?
जो जीतता है वो शायद हार सकता है, लेकिन जो जिताता है वो कभी हारता नहीं है. It's very important as an entrepreneur. You must make sure others around you are winning, which in turn will become your success. Number 1. Number 2, if you want to become a billionaire, you must create 1,000 millionaires. There is no other way. So जिताओ. जो जीतता है वो शायद हार सकता है, लेकिन जो जिताता है वो कभी हारता नहीं है. Very often people have a tendency to think I only will make things great. No one else can make that thing that great. उनके लिए एक पंचलाइन है, जो काम करते हैं वो बुढ़े होते हैं, जो काम कराते हैं वो बड़े होते हैं. So काम कराओ. So this also very often people don't do it. The next one is, for doing a business, 3 most vital things you must be master of: IT, HR, logistics. Today you look at the companies which make the list of successful companies, top 20 in the world or top 20 in the country. Some 15 countries are IT, HR, logistics companies. So that has to be mastered irrespective of whatever business you do. Business is nothing but having more people than needed. Business is nothing but having more people than needed and keeping all of them engaged. Very often people don't take people thinking that people is liability, and some people take people but they don't keep them engaged without proper training, without proper system in place. Their productivity will be low, so they will lose. If possible, price it low. This is an advice to all the business, because on this earth none of the closed companies are closed down because they charge less. All companies closed down because in spite of charging more, they could not control the cost. What does it mean? Charging more, could not control the cost. That is the exact mistake people do. Punchline: profit should never come from customer's pocket. It should come from the floor efficiency. Very often floor efficiency is poor, because of which you price it higher, because of which you have lost your business once for all. A sitting man is a liability, a working man is an asset. So you must know, if you are a leader, what is an asset and what is a liability. Every organization has underpaid assets and overpaid liabilities. If you don't recognize, your organization will collapse. So you have only 2 options. One is what is easy to do, another is what is right to do. What is easy to do is not right to do, and what is right to do is not easy to do. Please do what is difficult to do. There is no other way of becoming successful.
Thank you so much, sir, for coming here, sharing your insights with the audience who's watching this video, and would love to have you again.
Sure, I think we will plan with specific subjects.
Sure.
And we will have a suit to that subject. We today talked in general. I had a side of life, side of job, side of business, side of parenting. So all these subjects are needing focus on that particular one. I was a happy employee. I was a happy entrepreneur. How employees all are not happy, why? Entrepreneurs all are not successful, why? We can discuss in a specific sessions.
Absolutely. Guys, if you want to hear him on another podcast, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Share this video with your friends. You can tag both of us on social, and we'll see you in the next video. You can also check out the Limitless Clips Instagram account if you want to have the bite-sized content from this whole podcast. I'll see you in the next one.